Most of the videos on my YouTube channel are focused on cycling, particularly mountain biking. But today I want to do a little bit of a different review, and that is review a set of Bluetooth headphones. These are the LG Tone Plus Bluetooth headphones. The model number is HBS 730. And the reason I got these headphones is because I am an Android user, and it was hard for me to find headphones that actually worked with the controls for my device. I could get them to play and pause, but that was about it. Despite some of the apps I downloaded, I was never able to get the controls to work the way I wanted them to. And for me, it's real important to be able to just throw my phone into my backpack and ride without having to touch the phone, pulling it out to change the volume or skip songs. So I got these, and when I do this review, I'm going to tailor it not just for cyclists, but also for anybody who may be interested in these headphones. I know a lot of you guys who do ride, use headphones, and you may be like me and have been using something like these Apple EarPods. And these I use with an iPod, and I actually bought an iPod because I really needed the controls. And so, with the standard Apple ones, you can do play, pause, skip, all that with the middle button, and of course you got your volume controls. But I found it kind of redundant to carry an iPod and also carry a phone. So I was real happy when I discovered these Bluetooth headphones. They don't work with all Android devices, and I'll go more into that in a minute. But let me show you the way that they work. And you put them around your neck, and the earpieces are held into the main body with magnets. So you can just kind of wear them around when you're walking around, or maybe on a ride and you don't want to listen to the music yet. When you're ready to use them, you just pull out the earpieces and stick them in your ear. They're really lightweight. They don't bounce, so you may look at this and say, oh, the body of this may bounce around, but really I haven't found that they do. The only time that they move around a little bit is if you're out of the saddle climbing and really kind of moving up and down. They might just bounce a little bit, but it's not really noticeable and not annoying at all. So if you're a runner, I really can't validate how well they work on a run because I don't run, but I did kind of jog around a little bit before I made this video, and they bounce a little bit, but you probably could do something like tuck the bodies underneath your shirt or something like that when you're running. So one thing that's really nice about these is they have really good noise isolation. They've got a really good high quality silicone, and when you put them in your ears, they really block out the ambient noise. And that's real important for those of you who ride, particularly, to block out the wind noise, which can kind of affect your music. And they also have really good range. These work really well with my iPad. They work with really any Apple device that I've tried them on, even an iPod and iPhones. They work really well with the controls and everything. So it's really nice as far as the range to be able to maybe put your iPad in the middle of the room if you're working in your shop or just doing stuff around the house. You can just walk around and not actually have the device on you. And the range I found is about 30 or 40 feet on these. So let me kind of go into some features up close. So the way that these work is you've got your on-off button on the outside, which would be the left side if you're wearing them around your neck. So once you turn them on, assuming you've already paired with your phone in the past, they usually connect within, I found, about 3 seconds of turning them on. And you'll see that you've got a blue light here that typically will blink, and when it's blinking it means that it's paired. When you turn them on, you'll get a voice that comes on inside the earpieces that gives you the battery level. So when you flip it on, it'll say power on, battery high, battery medium, or battery low. What I have found is that they'll be on high for about 3 or 4 hours, and then they'll go to medium, and they'll stay on medium almost the rest of the time. And so what I've noticed is that when they're on medium, they can go to low and then shut off, run out of battery pretty quick. So you get about 12 hours of battery on these, which is really good, and they take probably about 2 hours to fully charge. One nice thing is with this newer model, these have been out for probably about 4 months now, is that they will pair with two devices. So I can actually have it paired with my iPad and my phone, my Droid phone, at the same time. So I'll do an example here with my Android phone. This is a Moto X, and I've got the music paused. And when I hit the button on, I'll call this the right side because when they're on your neck, that's going to be the right side. So I hit the play pause button, and the music will get going. Of course, if I hit it again, it'll stop the music. If I want to go forward a track, I would hit this button here, and that skips to the next track. If I want to go back a track, I would click that twice. Once goes back to the beginning of the song, twice would go back to the previous track. When you adjust the volume on these, on the left side, this button goes up in volume, that button goes down. But what it does is it actually adjusts the volume inside the unit itself. So what you would do is you would set a good volume on your phone and also set this volume maybe somewhere in the middle, and that way you can go up or down with the volume. So again, you're not adjusting the volume inside the phone, you're adjusting it inside the headset, and you've got about 8 clicks to adjust the volume. Now, one issue that I noticed is when I had my older Motorola Droid, the volume would only go down to a certain level and then it would shut off. So the volume was kind of high, which when I was riding it was not bad. It was a good volume level. But if I was just chilling out around the house and wanted to keep it at a low volume, I could only go down to a certain level. Now with this new Moto X, it's fine. It doesn't matter. And so that's something you may want to pay attention to if you are going to use this with an Android phone. You may want to try to demo it with the headphones before you actually purchase the headphones, if you could do that. I tried these headphones with the Galaxy S4 and they work great. The controls and everything work fine. I tried them with an HTC One in the mall and the sound would come through, but I could not get the controls to work. I don't know if that was a fluke. I was just demoing a phone, so I really didn't get a whole lot of time to mess with it. So, you know, if you're an HTC One user, you may want to find that out if you're thinking about purchasing these. They work, like I mentioned earlier, well with all Apple devices. The controls work really well with an iPod or an iPhone or an iPad. The button on this side, on the volume side, is your answer call button or initiate a call button. So if you have these around your neck, one really cool feature is that these will actually vibrate when a call comes through. And so if you're in a loud environment and you don't have the earpieces in your ear to where you could hear your phone ring, you'll feel these vibrate. You can just pop these out, stick them in your ear, hit the button, and answer the call. You can also initiate a call through here by pushing this button, and you can call someone in your contacts list. I'm not sure if it'll work with Siri. I believe it will, but I have not tried that. You can also go into your Google Now. So if you wanted to, you know, just say something like check the weather or where you're at or something like that, you could hit the button and it will go into Google Now. Also, a feature that I use a lot on these is if you hold this button down, it will redial the last number that you have dialed. So that's a feature that I found pretty handy. I found that the controls are pretty easy to access. Now, they're not as simple as, you know, the Apple ones where you've just really got one button for controls and then you've got your volume. But with the Apple, like when I'm riding a mountain bike, I found sometimes I have to kind of fish around to find the cord. With these, because they pretty much sit in one place, my fingers know exactly where to go, so I can go right to the volume buttons or the skip buttons. And so even though there's more controls, maybe a little bit more to think about, I've actually found that once you get used to them, it's pretty easy to find them. As far as sound quality, these have really good sound quality. I'm not an audiophile, but I'm really not that far off. If I have a pair of headphones, I really want them to sound well, or I don't want to waste listening to my music, so to speak, on a bad set of headphones. So I'm really impressed with the sound quality. If you're familiar, again, with the Apple EarPods, I would say the bass response is probably a little bit better with the LG. The Apple ones probably have a tad bit brighter mids and highs, but they actually have pretty similar sound qualities. And whether you love or hate Apple or really don't care, they do make good hardware, and for 29 bucks, these Apple EarPods have really good sound. So I wanted something at least as good as the Apples, if not better, and so these are definitely just as good. The LG Bluetooth actually do a better job at sound isolation, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, because of the silicone. They also stay in my ears a little bit better than the Apple EarPods. Sometimes, again, on a mountain bike, I would find that the helmet strap could kind of hit the EarPod and knock it out of my ear. That does not happen with these LGs. I have a pair of Audio-Technica ATH M50s, which, if you're not familiar with those, they're really high quality over-the-ear headphones, and I use those as the standard for sound quality. The LG Bluetooth obviously don't sound that good, but they're not way off either. Again, really good sound quality with these. I'll wrap this up by going over the pros and the cons. Let me start with the cons first. They may not work with every Android device, so you may want to try them out if you're an Android user. If you're an Apple user, I think you're pretty safe. I read on a few forum posts that people had problems with the iPhone 5. I did try these with an iPhone 5 in a mall, and they work great with all the controls and everything. So I don't think it's a concern if you're an Apple user. I think the newer Android devices, you're going to find that the controls work fine. Another con is that I've noticed a little bit of a sound delay from my Moto X. So when you're listening to music, it doesn't matter, but if you're watching a video and you're using these, I noticed that the sound can be delayed by up to half a second when watching a video. The Moto X that I have is pretty new, so I don't know if that's going to happen all the time, but that is a consideration with these. I mentioned before that the older Motorola phones, you couldn't adjust the volume down below a certain level, so that's a little bit of a negative if you had an older Motorola phone. I did mention the HTC One. So again, if you're using an Android device, you probably want to just check them out and see if they work with that device, if you can demo them. The earphones, earpieces, even though the magnets are pretty good, I found that they do come out kind of easily if you bump the cords. So if they're around your neck and you bump them, it's not a big deal, but you can bump them out. Or if you throw them in a bag, there's a pretty good chance they're not going to stay in there in a bag. As far as the pros, the big thing for me, other than sound quality, is the fact that you have full audio controls with an Android device. And that's a big plus. It's also nice having, I like having the multiple controls. So you've got the volume on one side and the audio controls, the skip forward and back and the play and the pause on the other side. They are lightweight. There are some Bluetooth headphones where the bulk of the unit goes behind your ear. These are nice because the bulk of the unit rests on your neck. Even though these are still pretty light, you do have the bulk of the weight on your neck, and so the earpieces feel really light and comfortable in your ear. Another advantage to these is how quickly they'll connect to your phone. So if I have these on my neck and I have the power off to save battery, and I get a call coming through and I want to use the headphones, within about 2 rings I can put them on and they'll connect to the phone within about probably 3 or 4 seconds, and I can answer the call. They also have a good battery life. I mentioned before that they can last about 12 hours on one charge, and so that's a huge advantage to me. I mentioned the sound quality and the noise isolation is really good with these. And one last thing I'll mention, and I don't know if this is verified. I've heard that the single Bluetooth headphones that you just use mainly for calls, having a Bluetooth unit behind your ear next to your brain may not be the healthiest thing. Again, I don't know if that's verified or not, but the fact that these are not resting up against your head but actually laying on your neck puts the Bluetooth receiver away from your brain. So I'm pretty health conscious. I don't know if that's a valid concern. but there may be something to it. So that'll wrap up my review of these headphones. If you're active, particularly in my case with cycling, these are really, really nice units to not have wires connected to your phones. You can throw your phone in your pocket or your backpack and not be connected by a wire. It's something that once you use it, it's pretty addictive. So hope you enjoyed the review, and thanks for watching.